We spend an enormous amount of time obsessing over the political theater in Washington, D.C., tracking every debate on Capitol Hill. But the federal government does not govern the actual friction of your daily life. Sitting in a massive traffic jam, reviewing your child's public school curriculum, or learning your property building limits, you are experiencing the direct result of decisions made by local and state lawmakers. These local bodies are responsible for creating public policy. Put simply, a public policy is a specific plan of action made by government decision-makers to solve a designated community problem or reach a goal. But solving a local problem is never a straight line. Every time a city council or state legislature acts to fix an issue, the very nature of governance guarantees they are creating a new point of friction for someone else. To truly understand how your hometown operates, you have to stop looking at local laws as permanent, static rules. Instead, they are the result of a delicate, ongoing negotiation of community trade-offs. The first major friction point states face is the clash between protecting the security of a system and ensuring citizens have free access to it. We see this tension clearly in how states regulate the voting booth. In the name of stopping voter fraud, states have pushed for stronger rules dictating who can cast a ballot. In 2008, an Indiana law required voters to show photo identification, like a driver's license. The Supreme Court validated this move, ruling that strict photo ID requirements were a legal way to prevent fraud. But securing the system carries a direct cost. Opponents argue these specific security measures disproportionately disenfranchise minority and poorer voters. Getting a photo ID requires time and money, making it much harder for the elderly or impoverished to exercise their constitutional rights. This tension erupted in 2013 when the Supreme Court overturned key parts of the Voting Rights Act. For decades, the federal government had to approve voting law changes in states with histories of minority disenfranchisement. The 2013 ruling removed that federal oversight, leaving states to manage their own electoral friction. The domino effect was aggressive. Within 24 hours of the ruling, the Attorney General of Texas announced their voter ID law would take effect immediately. 4 other states immediately followed suit. The Federal Department of Justice quickly sued Texas and North Carolina in an attempt to block the laws from taking hold. The legal war over who gets to vote illustrates a core friction. A state's pursuit of absolute system security can directly restrict a citizen's ability to participate. Beyond civil rights, states must manage the brutal friction of limited resources. They regularly trade financial stability for public safety and environmental health for energy independence. This chart maps the surge in state prison populations starting in the early 1990s. State legislatures enacted tough-on-crime policies, lengthening prison sentences and successfully removing dangerous offenders from the streets. Consequently, the number of incarcerated people spiked by nearly 800%. Every tick bonus line carries a crippling financial trade-off. It cost a state between $30,000 and $80,000 every single year to keep one person in prison, depending on their health and age. Faced with looming bankruptcy, states had to rewrite their policies. Many began shortening sentences for minor drug crimes and offering rehabilitation instead of incarceration. They pivoted away from strict confinement, simply because the financial burden of mass incarceration broke the state budget. A similar resource tension plays out in the ground beneath our feet. State legislatures are locked in a continuous battle between the desire to produce cheap energy and the need to protect the natural environment. The modern focal point of this trade-off is hydraulic fracturing, or fracking. Energy companies push water, sand, and chemicals into rock to break it apart and release natural gas and oil. While this drives domestic energy production, it triggers massive environmental panic, resulting in more than 130 regulatory bills proposed across 24 states in 2012 alone. State legislatures rarely get the luxury of making purely moral choices. They are forced to calculate whether satisfying the immediate demands for safety or power is worth risking long-term systemic collapse. If we zoom in even further to the hyper-local city council level, we see these exact same trade-offs physically shaping our streets and neighborhoods. The primary tool local governments use to engineer this space is the zoning law. Zoning laws divide a city into residential, commercial, or industrial zones,
serving as a blunt instrument to mediate the friction between individual property rights and community design. Consider a hyper-local dispute. A family decides they have the right to raise chickens in their own backyard. The neighbors argue they have the right to a quiet, odor-free residential street. The local zoning board has to step in and prohibit the chickens, prioritizing neighborhood uniformity over individual property use. City councils also engineer their local economies, often deliberately giving up guaranteed tax revenue to lure private businesses into their borders. The city of Waco, Texas, offers tax breaks for projects that buy new equipment. The state of Maryland established 28 specific enterprise zones, slashing taxes and regulations for companies willing to set up shop in poor neighborhoods or rural areas. They are gambling immediate municipal income for the promise of long-term job creation. City councils barter away control of their physical land and treasury dollars just to engineer a specific functional vision for their local economy. The reality of the trade-off engine is that a city or state's policy is never a finished product. A society's baseline needs are in constant motion, requiring continuous recalculation. In 2007, the North Carolina legislature passed a bill requiring strict environmental buffer zones between landfills and state parks. But the state's population kept producing trash. By 2013, running out of landfill space entirely, the North Carolina Senate had to pass a new law reducing those very same buffer zones. State and local legislatures operate as active daily battlegrounds, where a community decides what it values most at any given second. If you are frustrated by the length of your daily commute, the quality of your local schools, or the zoning of your neighborhood, looking to the federal government for a fix is a waste of time. The power to shape your daily reality sits at the local level. If you do not actively participate in that trade-off, someone else will happily make the deal for you.